What about a Mackey?
Jacob, we can go ahead and start and establish a
All right.
quorum and rules of procedure.
Thank you guys for helping us out during a little technical difficulty there, but I'm gonna call to order the Camden County Lake Area Planning and Zoning meeting for February 16th, 2022.
Jacob Nushi,
Yes.
David Stone,
Yes.
John Mackey.
Yes.
Fred Romer,
Yes.
Patrick Wolf.
Yes.
You have a quorum with 5 out of 7.
All right. Kim, why don't you go ahead and establish the rules and procedures?
Tonight's hearing is governed by the Camden County Unified Land Use Codes. At this time, I would like to place into the official record these codes as Exhibit A, the official zoning map as Exhibit B, the master plan as Exhibit C, and the case file for each case as Exhibit D for all of the cases to be heard at this hearing. Additionally, the Planning Commission will utilize the rules and procedures from the adopted bylaws. The Planning Commission may bring back to the floor for discussion any conditional use permit or plan unit development that was denied at the previous month's hearing using the re-examination procedure established in the bylaws. Any old business items on the agenda will be dealt with first. These cases have already had their public hearing, so normally additional public input will not be solicited. The Planning Commission will address each case as listed on the agenda and may request additional information from anyone prior to making a decision. All motions shall begin from the chair as an affirmative vote and then be modified accordingly by the members. This procedure is intended to ensure that when a planning commissioner votes a yes vote, it is for approval, and a no vote is for denial. The new business issues will be open for public hearing as listed on the agenda unless modified by the commission. As each case is open for hearing, a staff report will be read to the Planning Commission, followed by any questions. The chairperson will then request that the applicant or a representative come forward and state the case in his or her own words. Then, if anyone in the audience would like to speak or comment during the public hearing, you must be identified by the chairperson, come to the front of the room, print your name on the sign-in sheet provided, and state for the record your name and address into the microphone. During your turn to address the Planning Commission, you will address only the commission and not anyone in the audience with your questions or comments, and please speak clearly into the microphone. Speakers are limited to, what do you want to limit the speaking time to tonight?
There's not that many. I mean, let's do 5.
Okay.
Sorry,
Limited to
Michelle.
5 minutes unless additional time is requested. It is possible for the Planning Commission to move a case to old business and vote on the same night using the established voting procedures. At the conclusion of all discussion concerning a case, the public hearing for that case will be closed and the Planning Commission will proceed. Any decision on a conditional use permit, plan unit development, or subdivision plat may be appealed to the Board of Adjustment anytime within 30 days of the date of decision. Applications for such an appeal may be acquired from the departmental offices during regular business hours.
Thank you, Kim. All right, we have an amended hearing agenda. Does everyone have that in front of them? Looks like there's just one addition from the one that was mailed to us last week.
Correct.
Correct? Yes. All right.
And that's coming to you on my behalf. I've included in your packet, you've got a zoning permit sign-off sheet, and you will see that the number 3rd sign-off is the 4 fire protection districts in our county that have building code authority. We are having a problem with, at some point or another, whether in my prior time here or in this latest tenure, had a problem with all 4 of them in some respect or another, permitting something and not sending them on to us. If you look at the pictures attached, this is
He wants to go ahead and approve the agenda.
Oh,
and then
sorry,
the meeting
yeah.
minutes, and then we can get into the.
Yeah, we can do that, yes,
Let's do
thank
that.
you.
All right, so I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the amended hearing agenda.
Second.
Jacob Nushi?
Yes.
David Stone?
Yes.
John Mackey?
Yes.
Fred Romer?
Yes.
Patrick Wolf?
Yes.
All right, looking at the meeting minutes, short meeting in December, so I make a motion we approve the December 15th, 2021 meetings.
Second.
Jacob Nushi?
Yes.
David Stone?
Yes.
John Mackey?
Yes.
Fred Romer?
Yes.
Patrick Wolf?
Yes.
All right, Kim, now I give you the floor to talk about
Okay.
the fire district permit.
So, anyway, you've got 2 pictures there of a commercial development. It's gotten this far before I became aware of it. And it was just by pure accident at a restaurant, overhearing a conversation, got involved with the conversation, saw the person's pictures on their phone, and went, wow, how did we get this far? We do not issue a permit out of our office unless you have this sign off from the fire district, if you're within that fire district. This particular fire district let this get this far. These people have put hundreds, probably thousands of dollars in this addition, in this deck addition, and as you can tell, there's, you know, the price of lumber right now, and it's totally out of code compliant. It doesn't comply with the floodplain ordinance. We can't grant variances to the floodplain ordinance. We start doing things like that, you're gonna have people that default on their mortgages because these SEMA will come in here, audit our records, find out we're letting things go in our floodplain. They can suspend our floodplain maps. That will not let our residents obtain flood insurance. That will cause mortgages to default. People will lose their homes if they default on their mortgages. So we can't allow variances to the floodplain. These people are gonna have to bring all of this into floodplain compliance. Let alone the land use code, they don't meet setbacks. We've got impervious coverage percentage we've gotta look at.
Do we have setbacks?
On B2, yes,
On B2?
yes.
Because it looks like they're building right on top of that
They're
seawall too.
building on top of the
Did they-
seawall.
Like, I didn't think Ameren allowed, I mean, it's not our jurisdiction or
Right,
deal, but.
the prior deck was attached to the seawall. It's questionable whether this new one is expanded beyond what was there. So Ameren's checking their records on that. Yes, you're right, we cannot approve anything that goes over a property line. So we're gonna have to deal with that. It's a pre-existing non-conforming business. They've done more than a 50% improvement. So now they've gotta bring it into code compliance, parking requirements, impervious coverage percentage. It's a very small point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the parcel.
It's gonna be very difficult. And then your further attachment, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the controversy going on with the Miller County prosecuting attorney, basically putting a cease and desist order on the fire districts that serve Miller County that have building code authority. Whether that's gonna be challenged or not, I don't know. There is a state statute that I've also included with you. There's a question there. They have their building code authority, I believe, under this state statute, because Camden County doesn't have building code authority. So that gives them the right to have building code authorities, or so they
But
think.
we
I know
also have
they're
areas in the
challenged.
county that, the building code authority, since Camden County just doesn't do anything, like Northwest, for example.
Right, we have volunteer
You build
fire
out-
districts, Gravway Mills, Northwest, Southwest, all those, fire districts, also known as Max Creek Fire Protection District, if you live out that way, it's what we all call it. But, no, they're a volunteer fire district and they do not have building code authority.
They don't have the authority, or they don't choose to use the authority?
Or they don't have it,
Okay,
so,
so I mean, obviously, it's just like, in certain areas, it seems to be like in.
right. So my recommendation is to amend this sign-off sheet and take the fire protection district sign-off away. Not saying the resident doesn't have to go get it, but I don't feel that they should have to spend a half a day going around to their different permitting offices and get their permit if we're not gonna get the same respect back from the fire districts if they're gonna let a development go this far. Before I happen to find out about it, they probably would have finished it. And then where would we have been?
Have those people stopped at all? Are they still going?
I've spoken to them, they've come in, and their next step is to get me a full site plan. I've gotta know exactly where they're at in relation to the floodplain, how much of that's gonna have to come off or elevated or whatever. It's even questionable that the existing building, that was added onto, a corner of that is in the floodplain, and you can't make more than a 50% improvement to a pre-existing non-conforming building, or you gotta bring the entire structure into compliance with the floodplain ordinance. So we've got a long road ahead of us on this one, and it's gonna be an uphill battle the whole way, and we should have never gotten this far. They go to the fire district to get their permit. The fire district should have said immediately, you go talk to planning and zoning. You know, they're there, they'll help you, they'll talk you through this, and we'll get you through this. It's just, you know, it's just not right.
Help me out on this too, Kim, so this is in the discussion item, do we open that up to public hearing?
You can, we can open that up to public hearing. I know there's people here tonight that would like to express their decision, so.
I think.
And that's what I wanna know. I wanna know if, you know, people okay if I just do this. I could have just done it administratively and let the cards fall where they go, but I don't roll that way. I want
You mean,
people's
you want
decision.
citizen involvement?
Yes,
There we go, we'll get it.
definitely.
Alright, so, just to make it clear, what we're looking at here is, if you guys ever filled out a building permit, we got a small section here for fire district sign off. So Kim, as our planning and zoning administrator, is asking that, we modify this form to take that section out. So what I'm gonna do is, I feel it's comfortable enough that we have people here that wanna talk about it, let's open it up for public comment. So, who would like to first come up, sign up, and talk about it? Don't everyone talk
I
about it.
guess I have a question, is why would we wanna do away with fire department sign off?
Well, my problem is this problem right here. I mean, tell me, how am I gonna rectify this? How many times do I have to do this and police this? I don't have the staff. I have one inspector. And if someone doesn't complain, we may not find it, and this particular one, down the road it is, I doubt that we would have found it.
But if we say it's not working and then we just say, well, let's just do away with it,
We go to code officials meetings every month, and it is brought up every month. We go to their code officials meetings every month.
Doesn't the fire department inspect the electrical and everything in there?
I don't know what all they inspect. I've
They-
heard
yeah,
from,
they
I've
do
heard
the
from
electrical.
footings, I've heard from framing, I've heard from electric to,
Each one's different, which is kind of the
Everything,
frustrating part. So if you're building an Osage Beach, you know, Osage Beach comes, they make sure, and you know, really, you know, they check your footings, they go in there, and really what they do is they peek in the hole and say, you got steel in your footings. I mean, they don't know if they're on 2-foot centers, if they're, you know, certain height in there, you know, 'cause you're supposed to chair them. A lot of our concrete guys
Right.
just throw
Throw 'em
sticks
in
of
the
rebar
hole.
in the hole,
Yep.
and hopefully they pull it up center
Right.
as they're pouring. But you know, Sunrise Beach does not require that. They don't do any wall inspections. Sunrise Beach requires a U for rod and U for grounding. Osage Beach does not. So it's kind of a big thing right now is arc fault breakers and what you have to do in terms of, you know, right now those arc fault breakers are like $60 a piece. So if you do a new construction, you know, we're being told every 120 circuit in the house is now having to have that arc fault breaker, which if you've ever had an arc fault breaker in your bedroom and you have a small whirring fan, that thing will click out and do your thing. Well, if you have to do that with every 120 circuit, you know, the thing that comes to my mind is someone's refrigerator, you know? Yeah, there's a bunch of things that have little whirring motors that those arc fault breakers don't like, and I'd be really mad if my, you know, arc fault breaker kicked off on my refrigerator and I lose a whole thing of food, or my freezer and it melts, you know, second homeowner. So and it's just not clear and concise in terms of what gets inspected, and it's you know, you gotta kinda give it to our local builders in terms of how do they kinda keep track of it, and where your surveyors and everything, we're to keep track of, you know, what's this area code. It's just not uniform.
and all we're doing is looking at removing it from our sign-off
Yeah,
sheet.
yeah,
I mean,
and-
it's
So
not
they would
taking
still-
away a
It
fire
doesn't mean
district
they-
or their authority for building code or anything like that. I just don't think we should have to take the extra step and worry, oh, hey, wait a minute, we got another requirement here. You know, go get that sign off by the fire district. We can always tell people what fire district they're in and tell them it's a permitting fire district. It's on you as the property owner to get your proper permits.
Can we change that to not require the sign off, but just have something in the verbiage say, hey, check your fire department?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little catch-all for us, just to say, hey, you know, you might wanna check with them or how it's going, but, our first district commissioner's been very patient, waiting to talk, so let's go ahead.
Fred, I get what you're saying, but I do know that if you go into their office and look at their whiteboard, I mean, it's full, completely full all the time. They don't have the time or the manpower, frankly, to be running around chasing that, and if they're not gonna afford planning and zoning the same respect that they give them, I feel like then, you know, like you said, you know, you can change the language on it, but it shouldn't be a requirement if it's not, and it's not in the state statute either. So I'd just like to point that out, that it's not a requirement that they have to get that sign off. So that's all I wanted to say. I fully back Kim's decision on this, and I really think if you look at what's going on in Miller County, I have a strong feeling that they're probably gonna lose if there is any litigation towards that, just my personal opinion, not commissioner opinion, but they have gotten heavy-handed, so, you know, that's all I really gotta say, but I do support Kim's decision on changing the sign-off for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hagan. Also, do make sure you sign in and state your name on, you guys know that, you guys know the drill.
Nathan Rennie, and you know what Kim was talking about, the statute, she said she gave you a copy of it, it's chapter 321 of the Missouri statutes. And actually it says that the county is the building authority, that the county can set the codes, and if a county does adopt codes, even a minimalist set, you're a builder, you know you don't have to adopt the full IBC, because quite honestly it's written by a bunch of insurance-minded, what-if, nonsensical BS. There's so much stuff in that code that is like useless, I would say, and just kind of like a worst-case scenario that adds cost to building, adds cost to development. That being said, if the county were to adopt a small little bit of code, according to that state statute, the fire departments lose all ability to have any enforcement in code. And to be honest, I'd like to see that, because nobody in this county voted to let the fire departments come into our house. You know what I mean? If I need the fire department, it's because my house is on fire and I call them. But as far as like something that I'm installing in my house, you know, if I install something faulty, so be it, I have insurance. If I hire a contractor and they do a crappy job, again, hopefully they have insurance. If not, maybe they got a lawyer. I do, I'll take care of them. You know, I think there's a lot of personal responsibility, and people are moving into this area from, you know, all over the country, coming here to see our freedoms. We have a planning and zoning district that's what, 3.5 miles? Something around there, 3.5 to 5, maximum 5.
Yeah.
Well, you got people out on 100 acres out in the middle of nowhere that's having the fire department come out there. They're not in planning and zoning. I know a guy who got hit up having to have a permit from the fire department to put in a well house. That's stupid. I know some other people that started their house outside of planning and zoning. They got all the way to the drywall stage before Mid-County showed up, and Mid-County came in and told them they had to cut all the drywall out. Finished drywall, taped, mudded, ready for paint. They had to cut it all out, pull their insulation, all that, so they can inspect their wiring, inspect their plumbing, and all that. It's one of those things. I mean, if you're about a free country, that doesn't seem very free, especially on accessory structures. You tell me I gotta ask the fire department to put a shed on my property that I bought, that I paid for, that I pay them taxes to show up and put out the fire? So anything you all can do to separate yourself from them, I'm all for it, and that's all I came to say. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ike Skelton, and I kind of want to reiterate what was just said. I believe that we, as a county, should be able to come up with these codes on our own, and that way it's all kind of under one house, too. We have one place to go to, one group to talk about things that need to be changed, and we can have this more coalesced. And I believe that if we sit down, people that are within the county, because we just came up with this land use code that I think a lot of people, if they look at it, would be concerned about it. There wasn't a lot of public input on that, and there needs to be more public input on these sorts of things. And I believe that instead of, if we look what just is happening down at Osage Beach, you have to now ask permission to change your water heater. And somebody said even so far as a water softener system and so forth, you have to get a permit. That's our property. Why would I have to ask that?
HVAC repair.
Right, and part of that is because they have adopted international building codes. And I think a lot of fire departments are using these same codes, these same large codes that he was just mentioning, that have far-reaching things that we don't need here in Camden County, and probably a whole bunch of us don't want. I would go so far as to say that Camden County comes up with its own set of building codes adopted by the people, and once you get outside of the planning and zoning area, you would say that there are no building codes. That's my input. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I have to close the public hearing. I guess since we opened it, I'll make a motion
Right,
to close.
just make sure there's no
Yeah,
one
just-
else, so. Yeah, it's just a discussion item, it's not a vote or anything like that. If you guys feel like you're on board with me, we'll put it on agenda for an actual vote.
Yeah, what we
You know,
need to do,
so-
I mean, what's the
Ultimately, it's in the commissioner, it would be the county commissioners who would ultimately approve, a change to one of the zoning forms, but I just wanted to make you guys aware and,
No, we
what's going
appreciate
on.
that. So do we need to go put it, I guess, what's the proper noticing for that, do we need to do? Do we even
No,
need
not
to
a
notice it
forms.
and have anything, or can it go
Not-
right to the commission?
no, not forms, I mean, yeah, it would go on a county commission agenda for, amendment of a planning and zoning permit form. So it's nothing formal. I just wanted you guys to be aware of what's going on, and, you know, we're so busy, and now we've gotta fully focus on this issue, and it's gonna take a whole lot of time to get this issue straightened up.
And as P and Z Administrator, Kim, this is kind of what you're recommending?
Mhm.
Okay. What,
If the board wanted to vote on it.
I mean, you could ask the board if they wanted to vote on it,
what are your guys' feelings on it? I mean,
and I'd take that to the county commission.
you guys have any thoughts or? I have no thoughts.
Well, it's, we have to have some building codes, you can't just, it's not a free market thing, and you just do whatever you want to.
And I'm not saying that.
I know you're not,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, if they wanna throw it into one house, well, fine and dandy, you gonna find a budget for that, so we can do it?
Oh, boy.
Well, I mean.
I'm not
to be honest,
qualified
I
to
mean,
do building
you-
and code inspections, so.
Well, I mean,
No.
they do get paid quite a bit to do those inspections,
Yeah.
I mean, and so, I mean, it's not a free service that the fire district, does. You know, there's I mean, there-
They were the ones with the manpower willing to do it.
You guys wanna
Yeah.
think about it, maybe we can put it on discussion for next meeting and talk about it a little more.
Yeah, cause we got a large
We got a
agenda.
long
Yeah,
agenda.
can we table it to the end of the meeting, let's chew on
Yep.
it until the end of the meeting?
Absolutely.
Since this is kind of new, so let's just, because to be honest with you, I really don't wanna push it, I mean, I don't particularly wanna kick the can down the road and wait more months just to make a decision or whatever, and, you know, I don't know if you need a motion from us, but if it wants to go directly to the commissioners who are gonna, you know, have the authority to make the decision anyway, I'm fine with that. I mean, I support Kim and our planning and zoning administrator, so.
Mhm.
Well,
You gave us a recommendation.
Just what Kim, just what are you asking of the board to provide for you?
All I'm asking is that my plan is to amend this zoning permit sign-off sheet and remove the requirement of number 3 from that includes a sign-off from the 4 permitting fire districts. Just
But it
remove it
doesn't-
entirely.
But it
Does not-
doesn't change anything else,
No,
permitting wise or construction
No.
wise or anything like
the
that?
owners themselves are still responsible for going to the fire district and obtaining their proper permits.
So the
Just
fire-
like they're required to get their proper permits from Road and Bridge for their road impact fees, they have to get their proper, sign-offs and, permits from the wastewater department. So that's.
So do you need something from us to remove that from your sign off sheet.
I would appreciate a recommendation vote from you to take, when I take it to the county commission.
Well, let's do that, Jacob.
Let's just close the public part and. do
Yeah, I
it
think
at
we
the
did
end of
close the
meeting.
public part of the meeting. I
So
think
the
everyone here.
fire district's still gonna have authority.
Oh, yeah, they'll
Yeah,
still
yeah.
have full authority.
Yeah, we have to have some
But
kind of
it'll just
building
be
code
on
authority.
the property owner
It's
themselves.
just not
to
gonna
get it.
be on Kim to monitor whether
What
people
they're
have
doing.
done it, yeah.
We'll still tell people what fire district they're in when they come into our office. Everybody that comes into our office gets a property report card on their property. We list we write on there what their zoning is, and we write on there what fire district they're in, and let them know if they're in a permitting fire district or not.
Okay,
That's standard procedure every time you come into our office if you're inquiring about a piece of property.
well, okay.
So, alright, well then at this point, let's just go ahead and I'll make the recommendation that we go ahead and, make a recommendation to the county commission for the removal of section 3 of the zoning permit sign-off sheet, or building, it says zoning permit sign-off sheet.
Zoning permit sign-off sheet, yes.
I second.
Jacob Nushi?
Yes.
David Stone?
Yes.
John Mackey?
Yes.
Fred Brommer?
Yes,
Patrick Wolf?
Yes.
Alright,
Thank you.
alright, moving forward, let's go to nothing under old business, let's open up plat number PZ 22-0011 Kingdom Adventure Group. And this is one I believe that they,
You're familiar with this property, they, had withdrawn their PUD application, and now before you here, today is a plat. It's a request to subdivide approximately 30 acres, into 24 residential lots and, one dog park and a common area and a well lot. Subject, property is zoned R1. It's got, the applicants are planning on connecting the property to a centralized sewer and water. They're gonna run those down there. So they've given you a plat that is zoning compliant. The only exception to that is, since they're gonna do it, their plan is to go in phases. They will have to either put in appropriate hammerhead or cul-de-sac at the end of that first phase road to appease the fire district. So, and our land use code, so.
and is it ULUC compliant?
Yes.